We are live.
Wow, right at 6 o'clock on the dot.
Yeah, it's weird how I'm nervous. I'm like, people are waiting. We gotta do this right. I've been messing with the audio for hours today. I've learned a lot. So the first thing that I need to know from you guys is how do we sound? Patrick, can you talk at the same time?
Check 1, 2. Check.
Yesterday, Patrick was a little quieter than me, and then our audio overall was very quiet.
Even though on our visual audio, it looked like it was all the same, and it was close to
Correct. Oh, shit.
peaking.
We're showing up on the computer over here.
Technical difficulties.
It's weird how I'm nervous. I'm like, people are waiting.
Well, while we have this small interruption, should I do the honors?
All right, I think we are good. I think.
First sip's always the best, right?
People say we sound good. We can get to the show. Now, I do want to say this was the first time I actually posted this on Facebook for the first time ever. So I would imagine we're going to get some new
Followers or listeners?
Yeah, but they're going to be like F-Stoppers fans who have no idea that we've been doing this coronavirus journal. So let me quickly explain what the heck we're doing. Yes, we are a photography channel. That's usually all we really cover, photography, tech, and stuff. But being that we've been stuck inside, we haven't really had that much photography stuff to do. We haven't really had gear to review. And we thought rather than just sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves, let's just talk about this and maybe we'll record something that we will be interested to come back and watch 10 or 20 years from now, because this is definitely a historic event. I mean, no one could have ever guessed that the world would have shut down for months at a time. It's just so crazy. Now, the first thing that we usually do is we go over the numbers of the coronavirus around the world and in the United States. And what we've actually done this time, which I think you guys are going to appreciate, is we have actually put the links to all of the stuff that we're going to talk about. And I'm sure our conversation will go other places as well. But if you want to check our sources or check the videos that we're going to be talking about,
we tried to curate everything early, put it in the description so that, since we can't put live videos in this yet.
And if you guys have been waiting in the room, you may need to refresh the page for those links to show up. All right, let's quickly look at these numbers here. Total coronavirus cases. Let me go to the entire world first before we go to the United States.
2.8 million worldwide.
Yep.
And we're just shy of 200,000 deaths, 196,000.
Now, we just passed a really interesting number today in the United States. Coronavirus cases total, we have 916,000, but we have now passed 50,000 deaths. We're at 51,000 deaths. And don't you remember just recently doctors saying, at one point it could be millions of deaths, and then it was like 200,000 deaths, and then it got changed to 40 to 60,000 deaths?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like we're going to blow by that, doesn't it?
I guess it all depends what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, because you would think we've been locked down for a few weeks now. Maybe some people have been locked down a month. We are like on day 35, 40, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So you would think once everyone's been locked down, the deaths would really fall quite significantly, right?
It's not happening yet. But yes, eventually you would think that's what would happen.
What is happening in the trending, the trend lines of the daily counts?
I mean, it's still really, really high. The last 2 days were almost identical. On April 22nd, we had 2,358 deaths, and yesterday, April 23rd, 2,340 deaths. So I don't know. It seems like it should be going down more than that, and of course, all the states are talking about opening up, and some people are saying that's a huge mistake. Other people are saying, get real, we got to get back to work. I really don't know what to think about this. Now, guys, I do want to mention we're trying to make this fun and entertaining while at the same time actually getting some news out. We have a bit of a conundrum where, a lot of people who have been watching the series are not photographers and they had no idea what F-Stoppers was, but they have now watched every single one of our 35 or 40 episodes. And so they're saying, when people ask about photography stuff, I don't even know what the heck you're talking about. You're jumping back and forth from between things. So when you guys do super chats, we want to honor that. We appreciate that, and we will break for it. But if you can hold the photography questions till the end, And if there's anything negative that you want to say about the way Patrick looks, you can do that whenever you want, and I'll make sure to stop Patrick from talking.
Today, I kind of look like you. I mean, I don't have pants on, but we got similar shirts.
We all wish you had pants on.
I do have socks because I just ran to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Is this an acceptable look?
I mean, it's better than your
bare feet.
That's what everyone hates, so you can look at my feet, guys. All right, let's get to the story of the day, which is actually far more entertaining than you would think. You would think, oh, Trump just said something dumb like every day. But there's actually a little bit of controversy to this, which makes it more interesting than normal. If you guys have not heard, Trump said something about we could potentially inject disinfectant into people because disinfectant can kill the virus on surfaces.
Now, what was he referring to? Was he referring to our good old friend Clorox over here? What is a disinfectant in
And I think straight up alcohol. So I have put a link in the description that includes the doctor or whoever it was that came up right before Trump. Like, that's who Trump was responding to. So if you haven't seen that, you definitely should, because that tells the whole story. So you can click on that link and watch it if you want to. Now, here is Trump's exact quote. I wish I could do a Trump impression. I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And there is a way we can do something like that, by injection, inside, or almost a cleaning, because you see it gets in the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it would be interesting to check that. He then goes on to say, like, we should have the doctors look into this and stuff. And he talks earlier about some sort of UV therapy that the previous doctor, that whoever the guy was speaking, mentioned that, you know, the virus dies very quickly in UV light. I don't know about, you know, putting a light into somebody's...
No?
Well, I mean, I would imagine it's possible. I've heard of UV light and laser, I don't know, all that stuff. But the idea of potentially injecting disinfectant, like straight up alcohol or bleach or Lysol or whatever, is really stupid.
Right.
And I would have thought that everyone, at the very least, could have just had a good chuckle out of that. You know what I mean?
If it was delivered like a joke, you know, if he was a comedian, and some people think he is a clown, maybe he could have looked at the cameras and then looked at his staff and had said something like this in a way that maybe it would sound like a joke. But from the clip that I saw last night, it didn't seem like this was really a joke.
No.
It wasn't delivered that way.
No, it wasn't a joke. But here's the weird thing. I saw a number of Trump fans sticking up for Trump for saying this. Not one of them said, I think Trump is joking or being sarcastic.
How do you stick up for that comment?
The way they stuck up for him was by saying he's referencing what the previous guy just said, and the previous guy made some comment about UV light killing it or whatever, and maybe there is therapies where you can shoot light into the body. I don't know.
I think there are UV therapies. I think that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it exists to some level, so maybe that's not that stupid.
Yeah.
But then the disinfectant thing is stupid, but they're like, he's not saying we should do it. He's saying we should look into it. But we all know that. And that's really dumb.
So, and the way that disinfectants like bleach kill things is it completely obliterates the cell. It's not like it's got this like specific mechanism where it's going in and killing the virus. It's like mowing the yard with a flamethrower.
Right. So, of course, CNN probably took things too far, and they had doctors come on, and the doctors were like, we need to let the American public know that you cannot inject Lysol into your veins because it could kill you. And then Lysol, as a company, comes out.
Yeah, I saw them tweeting.
Publicly. But from a business standpoint, that's the greatest thing Lysol could do ever. Like, Lysol's brand name is the title of every single news article on every news website in the world.
Clorox, yeah.
Exactly. So, of course, they would do it. Like, I don't blame Lysol for doing this. I don't blame Clorox for coming out with some ridiculous statement. I do kind of blame CNN because I do not think anyone would have injected themselves from what Trump said. Trump said we shouldn't go out and inject ourselves.
Well, there were people when he came out and said
I think
you
there was
should
like
have
one couple,
the
right?
hydrochloroquine.
Yeah.
Somebody found chloroquine from their fish tank or something and took it and died. But it's also an embarrassment because Trump said it, but then it's an embarrassment that we have to reiterate to the American people. Don't be dumb enough and drink or inject something like Clorox or bleach or alcohol into yourself. Like, who are you out there that thinks that that is a reasonable?
That's the thing. I don't think there are real people out there that do that. But I don't know. So I feel like CNN kind of went a little bit too far with it instead of just saying, "Hey, the president is really dumb." But then Trump came out. Somebody asked him, "Why did you say that?" Or what did you think was going to happen? And Trump now says that he was obviously being sarcastic and he was doing it to get a rise out of the media. And I posted a video of this from CNN in the description as well.
So that is his view of being sarcastic. I'm one of the most sarcastic people ever. I mean, I'm sure there's people more sarcastic than me, but I'm pretty sarcastic. And I don't feel like the delivery on that wasn't a good delivery. It didn't sound sarcastic.
No,
it sounded like a question. He was like, we can look into that, right?
Yeah,
like,
and he wasn't saying it to reporters. He was saying it to the doctors. So, I mean, it's just outrageous. Like Trump, we all say dumb stuff. If I had to go live in front of the entire world every day, I mean, I'm nervous I'm going to say something dumb right here, but like only a few people are watching. I'm sure I would have some question that would just, everyone would go, "Oh my gosh, Lee is such an idiot."
Yeah.
And I hope I would just be able to say like, "Yeah, that was really dumb. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Sorry about that, guys. Like, that's a horrible idea." But Trump is incapable of ever apologizing. So I don't know. I'm interested to see now what the people who are sticking up for Trump and saying his question was legitimate, he was asking the doctor a legitimate question, what they have to say now that he claims he was just being sarcastic.
Well, and I'm seeing some comments in here saying people can drink alcohol, but we're talking about isopropyl alcohol. You know, it's like 90%, 100%, and then drinking it, you're just having it go down your esophagus into your stomach.
Yeah.
You would have to have this in your lungs, which you couldn't do. Your body would want to regurgitate it up, and then it would have to hit inside the cells. Like it's not even a reasonable thing.
No. Hold on one second. Nathan here says that I look like Bill Maher. What is this inside joke? Every day somebody,
just keep saying that.
Somebody is paying money to say that I look like Bill Maher.
So this got brought to my attention, and maybe this is old news, but it's related to this whole idea, and that is Chris Cuomo's wife and kids now have had COVID or are testing positive. It's kind of hard to know like how sick they got. And I don't know if the basement room that you're seeing on the TV, that's not in Manhattan. I think they have gone off to like a private property somewhere else.
Yeah.
But there's news stories, and I think you put a link to it here. This is Daily Mail, but it's everywhere. There might even be video of him talking about this. She has been saying that she is pouring like a cup or half a cup of Clorox into the tub every day or a few times a week and soaking in it and she has a doctor's name in this article. This doctor has been recommending that does kill the virus. Now, on one hand, you could take the story and say, well, there is some truth to what she's doing with what Trump is saying. Or you could flip it the other way around and say, how ridiculous is it that Chris Cuomo's wife is doing this thing with Clorox? Is there any scientific basis that soaking, I mean, we're getting into like Michael Jackson territory here, right? You're soaking your body.
Kill the like if she touched something that her husband had touched and got the virus on it, and now she's afraid it's somewhere on her body. She's killing
What is Chris Cuomo doing to his wife?
I don't know.
All the studies, like a month ago, everyone was saying that the hand sanitizer is good for killing the virus, but that using soap and water is so much more effective at just washing it away.
Yep.
So it just seems strange to be like getting advice from a doctor who's saying put Clorox in your tub, and I should be soaking in it as if it's like getting into your cells and stuff. I mean, this thing is not that deadly. You know what I mean? And it seems a little weird. I mean, I think Clorox even recommends not using it on the body at all. I mean, I could try to read the...
Someone else said that Chris Cuomo's wife believed that she was healing herself with crystals. I have not looked into that, but she seems a little kooky as well. Let me just read a couple of these super chats so we don't get behind here. This is from Mario. He says, hello guys, greeting from Switzerland just after midnight. I was not missing any episodes of this coronavirus series. Love your channel. Regards from a Canon shooter. Thank you, Mario. We really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you're a photographer and not just someone who likes coronavirus news.
So a lot of this is in Spanish because it's here in Puerto Rico, but the first caution it says is avoid contact with eyes or skin. So I do not believe that Clorox recommends bathing in this. But I don't know that that's hypocrisy, but it's just another weird angle of this story that people in the know, I mean, Chris Cuomo has many doctors probably advising him. I was hearing that maybe somebody's coming over to his house and giving them injections so they can stay hydrated. And, you know, it's the whole idea that if you have money, you're going to be treated better than if you don't even have insurance.
Well, I have something else to say about this, but read the green super chat. This one's for you.
Love the show, Patrick. Lee really kicks you in the balls a lot. Have you ever called him out for being a pretentious douchebag? I don't have to call him out because we both, it's an unspoken, we know.
We're just live. I mean, you
Yeah,
can see it.
we
Yeah,
know,
You,
yeah.
you know. So the other thing that was happening with Chris Cuomo, did you see this video? And I didn't publish this in the description. I didn't think we were going here, but it's worth mentioning. He did this video on CNN where he is like released from quarantine out of his basement.
Okay.
And I remember thinking it's a little strange that, one, he's being released and it's like on camera, but okay, like he has a TV show. I might do something like that. But then his wife, who has the virus, just recently was diagnosed with it, and he said live on the air, we are not supposed to be together. She was there, and she looked 100% fine. Maybe it's from her bleach baths. But I was reading online people saying, oh yeah, she never had significant symptoms. Okay, well, that's weird that CNN wouldn't put that up, because that's pretty interesting that Chris Cuomo, who, you know, was acting like he was on death's door, his wife had it and it was like nothing to her. Yeah. That's interesting. But then the other thing that's come out is that Chris, days before, went on a bike ride, got into a fight with someone, threatened this person. This person,
they captured it on camera.
I haven't seen the camera, but I saw that they did a police report of him. So it was like the whole coming out of quarantine is just a total lie. It's so weird. Didn't he think that he would get caught doing that? I don't know.
That was like a week ago, though, right? That was an older story. I think he has a like a serious podcast or something.
Okay.
And he discussed some of this.
Yeah. I do not know.
I don't know that this is in our notes, but this probably seems like the next reasonable place to go. Is the whole reason we're talking about Clorox is because the information that came out before the president said this ridiculous statement. And that is, there is now studies, I don't think they're confirmed, they're not peer-reviewed, they're not even, I think, officially released yet. But they're starting to reference them. That's what the speaker said before Trump. And that is, we are starting to believe there's some science behind the idea that maybe direct sunlight, which is UV light, and temperature does actually kill the virus much quicker. We say kill, viruses aren't living things, but it destroys the virus to where it can't get into the human body. This is incredibly good news if it's true, because this means as the temperature increases and as, you know, the sun gets higher in the sky and we get more sunlight and the days are longer, we should be able to kill the virus and be more protected, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think you can look at some countries in the southern hemisphere, Australia being one of them, and it certainly does not seem to have taken hold like it has in the northern hemisphere.
That could be for other reasons. I've heard people, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, someone said Iran has much warmer weather right now. Iran.
People always.
Iran, Iran. They have much hotter weather. We obviously have hot weather here in Puerto Rico, and we still have some cases. We haven't done enough testing, I don't think, to even know if we've been more protected, but hopefully we will know that soon. The other thing that it says was that the UV light destroys the virus. And I was talking to my dad today, and I don't know all the details about this, so please correct me if I'm wrong.
Is he coming back on the show?
I don't know if my dad's going to be back on the show.
Oh, okay.
But He was just saying that there's different bands of ultraviolet, like AB, and it's the C that is the one that's able to destroy the virus itself.
Okay.
We know that ultraviolet light kills DNA. I mean, that's why being exposed to light is so bad for skin cancers and stuff. And as somebody probably suggested, there are ultraviolet light treatments.
Yes.
He is now considering, and maybe there's a run on this, but he's saying you can buy these lights all over, on the internet, and you can install them in places. And so the idea would be if he ever opens his dental practice, maybe an hour before the practice opens or during lunch and like at the end of the day, you would turn all these lights on, maybe even in between seeing patients, and just let the lights run for some amount of time. I don't know any of the science behind this. I don't know how long. I don't know what kind of lights you need. I don't know what kind of bulbs you need.
I just don't know that it's that necessary if the patients are emitting the virus with every breath.
Well, the idea would be that after you see a patient, you could then leave the room, turn the lights on, and if there's anything floating in the air, it would kill it. It's just one more step that you could do. We obviously are seeing people with the fumigators running around. We see everyone wiping stuff and mopping everything. But if UV light can kill the virus, then maybe now there is another method that would, another preventative thing that you could do. So he was already looking into like buying lights and turning them on, but I believe he told me that it wasn't up to code or that he wasn't allowed to turn the lights on when patients or people were in the room. So maybe there's a certain treatment that you could have, but I'm sure it's very regulated. But if you just wanted to, be Walmart or something, maybe Walmart could install certain lights on in the ceiling and then turn them on for a period when the whole building is empty.
That's an interesting idea.
So I don't know. I feel like the overall good news is that UV light and heat and humidity and direct sunlight, all these things do seem to have some effect on the virus, which, regardless what Trump said, is a good news story.
Tom Hoppin says, Patrick, play guitar like John Mayer. Get your guitar out, Patrick, right now.
Gotta make the face.
Hurry up.
Maybe we'll have a little amp here later, and we'll have a little. You can. I can take song requests.
I need to have just like a single drum, and then you can play, and I'll.
I don't think taking drum requests is ever as exciting.
No.
Guitar.
You would play guitar, and I would play, and then I would sing something back.
But we want to make money.
Yeah, that's true. What's next, Patrick?
Well, I thought I started that whole one.
Steve Robertson wants to say, oh my God, bleach is a disinfectant, not a treatment. Yeah, we know that, Steve. Thank you. So next up, I have the Senate passed a $2 trillion stimulus package. And you could read this on the link, some of the things that are in this stimulus package. But the thing that is most interesting to me is what we talked about the other day, which is this additional $600 per week for unemployment. So as I understand it, I very well could be wrong on this, it seems like the states pay unemployment, but then this federal relief bill will add an additional $2,400 per month per person who is on unemployment. But it also includes people who own their own businesses and who are private contractors. So it's basically like everyone. And then I'm hearing all these things like, it's nobody's saying for sure, but it basically sounds like if you just say you're unemployed, you can get the money. And the worst part of all of this, the best part, if you want free money, is that for the majority of Americans, you might be able to make more money by going on unemployment than you make working.
I've talked to several business owners in the last 24 hours, including my parents, and they all said that is true in their situation.
Like, your parents pay pretty well. It's a dental office. It's not like you're paying people minimum wage there.
Yeah.
So basically, anyone who's making minimum wage, you're making like double or triple, maybe more. If you're able to get unemployment, I think unemployment by the state is around 50% of what you were making before, plus an additional $2,400 a month, plus the stimulus money. These are separate things.
Yeah.
Who in the world would choose to work for less money? And I believe this is for 4 months.
Well, this is where it gets more complicated because I was trying to understand this more through my parents' dental practice, and they were saying that once someone starts claiming unemployment, the unemployment office is able to see that the dental practice has fired them in some way. And then once the dental practice or business starts paying them back the stimulus money that they got, they're going to be able to see that as well. So it seems like it's the burden of the employee to then figure out the money. Because my parents keep saying this. I really want to know if this is true. They're saying once you get approved for the stimulus money, it starts then and it's not retroactive. So if that's true, and I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, you might have a month gap where your employees did take unemployment, but then the second that you get the money, you have to quickly rehire them, which means they then have to say, I'm off the unemployment, which might be more money. But if they said, I don't want to go back to work, there has to be some record there that says, no, this business got the stimulus money and they are offering you the job. And for one party, the business owner, they need you to come back to work. Otherwise, that money is not forgivable.
Yep.
But the other side might be like, I don't want to go to work because I got it made. And then you also have to submit and say that I have been trying to find work. But that's going to be incredibly easy. But it all comes down to that one employee, that one employer who says, you do have work because I want you back. And it just, I don't know, I could just see this being a very disastrous thing. You had those clips from
Dave Ramsey
saying, I do not trust the government, and people are going to mess this up.
Yep.
I think that is true. Now, I don't know who's more likely to mess up, but if you have your employees saying, I'm not coming back to work, then they alone are screwing over the business who needs them to come back to work so that all the money can go out and be allocated to keep them afloat. But somehow if the employee takes both checks and then doesn't return the unemployment money, they're going to be in trouble there too. Now, you would think there'd just be a system in place where the computer system says, hey, they're getting paid this W-2 wage, don't give them unemployment. But we all know the computer systems through the government are not very good. They're not going to catch this.
They're not at all. I thought when Dave Ramsey said this in a previous video that we made, not to do the PPP loans, I thought, you know what, this is, the United States government is not going to lie to us. But now that I see that they are potentially paying unemployed people, or people who are employed, but people who just claim to be unemployed more than what they make actually working, I cannot recommend anyone do these PPP loans thinking that they are going to be reimbursed. I can just see too much going wrong. You're relying on the honesty of your employees who might be getting this money that you don't know about, and it could screw you over. And then you're basically getting this money, paying it directly to your employees, thinking that you're going to get it waived.
Yep.
And then a year from now, the government's going to come and say, hey, we want that money, plus we want interest, and your employee's going to be long gone at that point. So it seems easier to me to just
Luckily,
fire.
the interest is only 4%. It's a very small interest payment, which is good. But the other question that this all brings up is this idea of like, how are they going to decide who's going back to work at what time? If, say, the ADA says dental practices are good to reopen now, but the governor hasn't totally said that, or, you know, it seems like everyone needs to be on the same page. Because if dental offices are able to go back to work, does that make them unqualified for these loans and PPP? If you're an older business owner and you're like, I'm not ready to go back yet, but everyone else in your field is going back, do you have the right to say, I want to wait a few months to see that this is okay? Are you going to be able to continue to get the money? Like, it gets very, very complicated.
I don't feel like it's totally well thought out. I don't think there's a plan for how to deal with all this.
You also have like movie theaters. Like, I think Georgia might be saying, check this fact. I don't know that it's not a fact, but I think Georgia might be saying, hey, we should open up some of these things. Well, what if a movie theater opens? And as you know, Hollywood has not been releasing any movies. They're like, we're not going to open because there's no demand and there's no new movies to show. Well, if you are technically allowed to open and you choose not to open, are you able to continue to get the loan to bankroll your business, or are you going to be forced to go back to work when that is decided? See, it's very, very complicated.
Well, I think, and there's our Puerto Rico go inside warning that we have gotten every day for the last 40 days. Everything on me starts vibrating. Well, What do you think this means for photographers? Let me read Darren Hong's comment here. He says, I got those UV lights already. They're called windows. I would be interested to know how much more powerful these specialized UV lights are than just sunlight.
Well, and I think windows, depending on the film and the direction of the light, and a lot of your light is hit from the ground and then bounces through the windows. Yeah. You may not get the full spectrum, and it may not be at a powerful enough level, or it might take longer.
I would just think though that the sun is, if you could have direct sunlight outside, if you could have your patients go stand in the sunlight for a minute, it seems like that would be infinitely more powerful than any light you could buy.
I don't think you're not trying to use the UV on the patient. Because the disease is in their lungs.
I understand.
You're just trying to disinfect everything. It's like sterilization. You can autoclave things where you bring them up to a certain temperature.
Sure.
This would just be another way to kind of... Because the other thing my dad was considering is like you have to put new filters in your air conditioning. And I'm thinking, do they make a HEPA filter that is strong enough? He was saying maybe it has charcoal or has some other element in it. But is there a filter strong enough? I mean, we're talking about these masks.
Yeah.
Aren't necessarily strong enough to filter everything out. Can you make your central heating and cooling suddenly virus proof? And then what do you do with that filter when you need to take it out? It just seems like there's so many questions, and our buildings and our facilities are just not made for this.
So let's talk about photographers and this unemployment. From what I have read, it sounds like if you are a photographer and you are still working, but you have just been hit in any way financially, and I have to imagine that's literally 100% of photographers on Earth have been hit in some way by this, it seems like you are now allowed to go on unemployment. Normally, you would not be allowed to get it, and maybe you aren't allowed to get it from your state, but you will be allowed to get $2,400 a month from the federal government, plus the $1,200 stimulus that maybe people should have gotten already. I know my brother still has not gotten it. But I have to imagine that everyone should be looking into this who's watching this right now. Basically everyone, period, should be looking into this. Unless you're like making over 75 grand a year, it seems like it's smarter to be on unemployment right now than to continue doing whatever you're doing. And then if you work for yourself or Uber or whatever, it says that you can still go on this and do your other job. It's just like, because you're losing some of your money, you get the $2,400.
Yeah.
So look into it, guys. It seems too good to be true.
Well, this was a debate I was having today with somebody, and it was this idea that let's say I still lived in Charleston, I still had a photography business, and I wasn't in Puerto Rico, and we weren't making content remotely from the home. Let's just say you're a photographer, but you do still have some money, or you're not a photographer, but you have a job that you can do online. But your income has been hit hard. You've lost, let's say, 70% of your income, but you're still able to survive. You have a home office. You are still a taxpayer, and you're still eligible for a lot of this money. But is there some morality or hierarchy where you shouldn't apply for that money because you should let all of those businesses that have mortgages and have rent and have tons of employees, like they have more of a reason to survive? Because like my parents, for example, they're making no money. Their practice is completely shut down.
Yeah.
Whereas Walmart, they're making some money, or a restaurant that's at least doing delivery. But we've seen a lot of restaurants are just like, hey, we're not even doing the takeout anymore. It's not even worth it. They just shut up entirely. My argument was, well, we've all paid into this. It's all of our money. Right. The government in some way is just making this money out of thin air, and maybe we'll argue this later, but that money is going to have to come from somewhere, and I believe it's going to come from massive taxes down the road.
Or inflation.
Or inflation.
So the money is literally being stolen out of your bank account slowly, in the form of inflation. But you're basically asking, is it immoral to go on unemployment if you don't necessarily need it?
Not unemployment. I'm just talking about the loans. Like all these funds for the PPP have run out. And I don't know what percentage of people want them but haven't been able to get them, but it might be 50%.
So you're not talking about unemployment at all right now?
I'm not talking about unemployment. I'm talking about the PPP forgivable loans. The money that you can just get for your business.
What's the difference, though? What's the difference between getting that versus getting the unemployment. It's
Well,
still
do self-employed people, do they pay into unemployment? Maybe there is a way if you have a W-2 wage, but some people I think they just take the total profits, right? It's like a K2. Really going to make people mad when we don't know what we're talking about. But a lot of photographers, they don't pay themselves a bi-weekly thing. They just get to the end of the year and they're like, "Hey, accountant, what do I owe?"
I watched a video today that was about this, and they were saying if you do not pay yourself and have your
withholdings.
and all that done, it doesn't matter. You can still file for unemployment, and it will simply be based on your taxable income. How much money was left over at the end of the year after you paid.
This conversation kind of stemmed from the idea that you had Harvard University and you had Ruth's Chris and you had all these companies that I don't know how they applied for this.
They shouldn't have been able to because they have more than 500
My thought
employees.
was, and I mentioned this weeks ago, maybe if you own a franchise, you have a Chick-fil-A, maybe you have 50 employees, and so you applied and somehow got the money because you own the franchise, but then maybe there's this idea that if part of your business is owned by an angel investor, maybe like all of Chick-fil-A has more than 5,000 employees, and so Chick-fil-A should technically be exempt. I don't know if that's true, but it's that kind of thinking, like maybe Ruth's Chris individually all applied and got the money. Somehow they weren't supposed to apply for this. But my whole point is, are they less deserving? If they were legally allowed to have the money, let's say you have 400 employees and you did everything right, are you less, because you're a big business, should you not be able to get the money more so than somebody who makes a lot less and only has 10 employees?
I don't think so. I just feel like just because a business has been more or less responsible, like for instance, your parents have chosen to not buy the building that they run their dental facility out of. They have chosen to rent it.
Right.
So they could have bought it and they could have a mortgage payment. They could have chosen to buy it and pay it off early, and then maybe they would have no payment every month whatsoever. But just because they were responsible, let's say they decided to buy it and they paid it off years ago, just because they were responsible and they decided to save their money and put it towards this building, while the dental office down the road has decided that they want to borrow as much money as possible and go on vacations and just pay rent on the building because they don't want to deal with those high payments every month. I don't feel like the irresponsible dentist is more deserving of the money than your parents who might have been more responsible. If Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is following the law, which it doesn't sound like they did, but I don't know, like if the law is written in such a way and they are able to get this stimulus money, then I feel like they're deserving of it. Like you said, they paid into it, and I'm sure Ruth's Chris paid into it far more than any of us paid into it. And Ruth's Chris has major expenses. Ruth's Chris, they have some of the most prime real estate all over the United States. I can't imagine what their rent is every month, and their income has dropped to zero. I'm not saying like, I feel so sorry for Ruth's Chris, but I don't know. I when it comes to things like soup kitchens, I don't think like millionaires should be going by the soup kitchen to get the free soup so they don't have to go buy the $3 soup on their own. Like, leave that for the people who really need it. But when it comes to this grant money, I feel like the law is written in a certain way. You have paid into it in the form of taxes, and so if the law is written and you get it, I feel like maybe you should just be able to get it.
Well, apparently I'm reading here that Harvard didn't get money from the PPP, but they were allocated some amount of money. Maybe this is a debate going on in the media with Trump saying something. I don't know. I'm just hearing the basic argument of it. But Ruth's Chris and some of these other companies definitely seem to have gotten money.
Yeah.
How definitive do I sound? They definitely seem
here's the thing.
To have gotten money.
They could have gotten the money, but maybe it wasn't forgivable. You know what I mean? I don't think the idea of it being forgivable and you getting the loan are mutually exclusive or connected in any way. I think you go to a bank, you get a SBA business loan based on your credit and how much money you have in accounts and stuff, and then you potentially should have been able to write off 2.5 months of expenses would be forgivable.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to think that maybe they got the loan, and then everyone was like, hey, just so you know, 2.5 months isn't going to be forgivable. And then they're like, oh, we're going to give it back. We're going to give it back now because they realized they couldn't.
Well, and for some, it's a publicity move, It's like if you're getting all these negative papers written about you, the best thing you could do would be to give it back.
Maybe. I mean, it depends on
Unless
how much
you
money.
Face bankruptcy.
Like, if you're about to get $20 million for free or whatever the amount of money is, like maybe the bad publicity is worth it to get the $20 million. I don't know. Tristan Bernardo says, Patrick, does your Coke taste like bleach?
Not enough. It tastes pretty good. It tastes like aspartame, though.
Not enough. Do you have the next story here?
I keep thinking I'm the one bringing up the stories.
Nope. CNN article says wiping down groceries is now not necessary. I did not see this, so tell me about this.
I don't really know what their argument was. They keep referencing in the article that they have found that the virus can stay on cardboard for 24 hours and on plastics for a few days.
Yeah.
But they were acting like it's. I think what they were saying was that it's so unlikely that the virus is going to be on any particular grocery box that you're kind of wasting your time. But we know or have heard, I mean, you just talked a few days ago about somebody who was completely quarantined in their residence, and the only thing they had was food delivered to them, and they got coronavirus being in their home, right?
Yeah.
So in some cases, there are people getting it.
At least that's
from home
theory.
deliveries or from packages.
Yeah. But it could also be, that could be someone like who is literally delivering it to you has the virus. And that's probably a better chance than someone stocking the shelves at Walmart the previous day, put it on the shelf, it's still surviving.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking now if the UV thing is so true, we should just put all of our anything that's not produce and refrigerated, just put it in the sun for 10 minutes or so, 30 minutes, and then bring all the groceries inside.
Yeah.
That would be the easiest thing. I keep joking about, do we need the fogger? We could like somehow fog the back of the car that we've taken all the groceries to, and then stock the kitchen. But
well, this is a good comment here. You've referenced this before.
Gremlins?
Yeah.
In Gremlins 2, how the boss handles the Gremlins outbreak in his tower reminds me of how Trump is dealing with the virus, especially with the UV testing. When Gizmo says, bright light, bright light.
So I used to be picked on in high school because I had big lips and big ears, and they called me Mogwai.
You used to, but suddenly now you've aged out of it.
I've grown into my lips and ears, so now I'm like...
You were called Magwai?
Mogwai, yeah. It was a dark time in my life back then. What's next? Okay, so this is something that I haven't tested myself, but Facebook claims that they haven't directly said they're taking on Zoom, but basically the only reason that people use Zoom was because you could get like big groups of people in the Zoom and everything. But as you know, Zoom's kind of a pain in the ass because people have to get the app, and then you can't like actually call people or send a Facebook message. You got to go through email or send links and stuff, and it's just always kind of slow. Well, Facebook is now allowing groups, and you can do up to 50 people in a video chat group, and it basically sounds exactly like Zoom.
And it's live right now?
I think so.
Because I have a Zoom hangout after this recording.
Oh, maybe we should try tonight to do Facebook, because everybody's already got Facebook and they've already got Messenger.
Well, this was my argument about Zoom, and I own Zoom stock. I was hoping it was going to be this thing, this great thing. But Zoom, just like Skype and so many other things, I just want to like type in an email and say invite them, or a phone number if it's FaceTime, and just call them. But instead, you got to copy the link. You have to then open your browser, and you have to find their email and send them a link. And in some cases, we had John David Pittman on the other day. He clicked the link, but it opened up in his daughter's account, and he's like, let me log out and log into his. But now the link is expired.
Yeah.
But then you also have like these passwords and like join numbers,
Yeah.
So it seems way more difficult, and you're still in many cases using Gmail or Facebook to send the invite through.
Right.
So this is why I'm too scared to buy stock at the moment. But this is why when the time's right, I'm going to invest very heavily in Facebook again. I've been buying Facebook as it's dipping down. Facebook released their dating app, which you wouldn't even know exists unless you go into the back end and you can open and start a dating profile.
Yeah.
And I've owned Match.com, which has done really well, but I think Facebook has the ability to wipe out all of that. And now with video conferencing, like who can compete with Facebook? They're going to destroy everybody, and they're the biggest business. So I'm looking at Zoom here. They have dropped 6% today, and they are 2% down after hours. I bought Zoom 3 months ago, when people were talking about China having a problem with coronavirus. It went up to like 30% for me. And I think you on this show said, you got to sell that.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, the FBI or somebody came out and said that there's all these security warnings and it's spyware. And then boom, I sold the stock when it was up 3% for me. But now I'm looking at it and it's not doing well.
All right, guys, we are to our last subject here. If you want to start letting the crazy comments and questions fly about photography or whatever you want, we will get crazy with you after this.
Is this about my video that I watched, or you want to cut that out?
What's the video that you watched?
I watched a video called Shelter in Place, produced by Vice, that came out 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, we have 2 more things to talk about.
It's with Edward Snowden, and basically he's just talking about data and privacy and other countries, how they're going to get all this data, and it's very doom and gloom, apocalyptic, AIs taking over the world type stuff. Big Brother's looking over your shoulder, but it's a short watch. You can find it on YouTube. Did you put a link to it? I think.
Yeah.
It's like 14, 20 minutes, something like that. Watch it in double speed. But he's just saying that, like, we are living in the most interesting period ever, where literally we are kind of like these sheep that just go to work all day and you don't think about anything. Maybe you turn on the nightly news for an hour and you debate something over at the kitchen table. But right now, the entire world is shut down, and we are all thinking about how everything from money to work to staying at home to video conferencing to epidemiology, like we're all thinking of the craziest stuff in a very concentrated way.
Yeah.
And he's saying this is the greatest time for all people around the world to decide if they like the direction anything is going, and that perhaps the largest amount of revolution is about to happen right now. Because do we want people tracking us? It's too late. We already have these phones.
Yeah, we were just used to it.
Apple already knows. Facebook already knows. They're able to figure out, like people say, oh, I don't want a Facebook account because I don't want anyone to know where I'm at. If you have an iPhone, your iPhone is constantly trying to join networks. And even if you don't join those networks, Apple knows exactly where you are within a pretty good degree of accuracy based just on whose Wi-Fi signals you can see at any one time. And so anyway, it's not it's not like a conspiracy. It's just, here is where we are going, and this is what the virus is doing, and here's the policies that will come out of it. We can look at China to see where it's already been, but we can also look at South Korea and Taiwan and all these places, and we just need to decide now what is the future that we want.
Yeah.
And that's why some of these debates are going on, where these protests and people feeling like, do we want to give Congress the ability to start doing more down the road? Because you may hate Trump and you may say, I don't want Trump having that access. But whatever happens today, the next president's going to inherit, and the next president's inheriting. Trump has all of the same powers that George Bush gave when we decided to do the Patriot Act.
Yep.
And so it's a very interesting watch, and that's what I did today.
Yeah, I would be interested in watching that. I feel so bad for Snowden. I feel like he has such strong principles, and I feel like he should be pardoned unless there's something to the story I don't understand. It seems like he revealed the craziest information ever that especially conservative people should care about on the right side of the aisle, you know what I mean? And just no one cared. No one cared.
Yeah,
no one's talking about pardoning him.
Because coming from a military family, it's kind of like the guy getting kicked off the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Which I think they're now asking him to come back.
Okay.
But it's this idea that, like, you can't just share classified information. You can't expose things that could be good in the long term because they look questionable now. Because the reality is every government does things that are horrible.
Yeah, I realize that, but maybe I don't remember everything that Snowden revealed, but it seemed like most of what he was just talking about was the government was just spying on all of the people and all of the dialogue going on phones and the internet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't feel like that's putting our country in danger or anything. That's literally just revealing something that every American should want to know, and we all would have been really freaked out about.
I need to go back and watch that interview he did with Joe Rogan, because I watched that in the gym one day 6 months ago. And I mean, he was just talking about how it's impossible for you to ever get a fair trial on the charges that he has, and why it's a big farce, and why whistleblowing is so important. But whistleblowers, you can see negative and positive things on both sides, and depending on who it affects, depends on how you view it.
Right. Last thing, Joe Biden claims Trump will move the election date. Do you think that is true?
Well, after reading the article on CNN, and I think I had read something similar a month ago, because I thought the same thing. I was like, there's no way. It was back when Wisconsin had all the Supreme Court issues about can they have their primary. I started reading about the election, because my thought was, yeah, we're not going to be out voting November 2nd, or first weekend of the second weekend of November.
I don't even know.
But after reading the article, it seems like it's an act of Congress that has to change it, because it's a constitutional law. And so Trump, no matter how hard he tries with state of emergency and all these things, he can't change it. But what's really interesting is if we decide to delay the election, which I think Congress does,
Yep.
there is a definitive date where the president, I think it's January 20th, is done with his office. So if we do not vote for the next president by then, it's like the presidency jumps down to like the leader of the House.
Oh.
So Nancy Pelosi could actually be the first female president
That would be funny.
for like the amount of time it takes until the election. So I don't know, but you see Biden apparently. I didn't see the quote. I didn't see him live, but last night apparently he said that Trump's going to try to change the date. This whole podcast is so that we can make predictions and see how right we were, how wrong we were, or what our mental state was. I don't think there's any way that Trump's not winning the election. I don't see how.
Especially against Biden.
Against Biden, and then I feel like the news coming out at the moment. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the stock market's going to crash in the next 6 months. I do not I was looking at the stock market compared to like the stock market in the Spanish flu. And the Spanish flu, it's like it crashed after the third wave. When everyone thought we were good and we survived it and the deaths went down, the stock market crashed. We went into a major recession. And then within 9 years, we had the Great Depression. And we were coming out of World War I. I believe the Spanish flu was when the economy was doing pretty well, but maybe we were dealing with inflation. But I think the market's going to crash before the end of the year. But I think when you just look at like how the world handled coronavirus and the number of deaths, I mean, we are at 50,000 already, so maybe we're going to hit 100. I think a lot of people are going to say, you know what, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't 2 million people. Yeah. It wasn't the end of the world. And it's going to be an ugly, ugly political season.
Yes, it is. Okay, guys, let's have a little bit of fun. We can talk about whatever the heck you want to talk about. Patrick, find some question in there. I'm going to read this super chat here. This is from Modern American Pro. It says, Hangouts let you have 250 people at a time in a video call. Doesn't require a Gmail, and it works really well. I have always had a pretty good experience with Google Hangouts. That used to be what we used exclusively. I don't even know what made us move to Zoom. It was like everyone was talking about Zoom, and then I got invited to a few Zoom things, so I felt the need to get the Zoom app. And then when we started doing some interviews with people, I was like, I guess I'll just use Zoom. And then Zoom limits how long the thing can be if it's like more than 2 people or something. So now I have to get like the pro account. So now I've spent $15 with Zoom. And I keep thinking, why am I paying this? Why am I using Zoom when Hangouts used to work fine? So maybe I should go back and look into Hangouts, but it's been a while since I've used it.
It says Mississippi State Board of Dental Examiners is debating on whether or not to open up back up on Monday. Unfortunately, local news is saying the governor has allowed regular dental visits again. And this was the debate I was having with my dad, is like, how at risk are you really? But that graph that I texted you yesterday shows that besides anesthesiologists, actually more so than anesthesiologists, dentists and then their hygienists and assistants were at the highest level of getting coronavirus. I would love to see more details on that versus just an infograph. I would like to know, like, are dental assistants and dental hygienists actually getting hit with coronavirus more than anybody?
Yeah, or if they're just trying to figure out, like, the mouth is the most dangerous part of the human body.
It's like hypothetical or something.
Yeah, I don't know. This person says COVID-19 is spread in the Bronx Zoo and already has 5 infected tigers and 3 lions. I don't know if any of this stuff is true. Now I'm just reading comments here. It is funny though that animals are getting tested when, like, we have friends who literally feel like they have it today and they're like, I can't get a test because I don't have fever.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that house cats are being tested and coming down with it. Tigers and lions are being tested. So I don't know where they're getting these tests from for cats, but it's out there apparently.
There are some people on here that, especially in the chat, it's happened more so that's live, that are just like, these are 2 dumb photographers who are making fools of themselves.
Yeah.
Are you willing to, like, offer an extended hand? I don't know how we'll do it live. Soon we will be able to, because we'll be able to pipe more people in. But I would love to invite some of these people in and to, like, be a part of the conversation.
Well, it's funny. We've had some really dumb commenters in the recent past, you know, that have said that Bill Gates is trying to control us with vaccines and he wants to kill children and it's 5G. And I have offered these people. I have said, please email me and come on the show, because I would love to have someone on the show just to talk about these ideas. And no one has ever taken me up on this. So I don't think anyone actually will. It's easy to sit behind a keyboard and say crazy stuff. But
and the scary thing is like, I know we are not the most informed people. I know we're like slightly above the intelligence line. We're fairly intelligent, but we are way beyond what the average or majority of people in America are, you know? And maybe I'm making fun of some of the people watching this video.
Yeah.
I think a lot of you watching this video are also extremely intelligent as well. But when you really get out of the house and see who the average American is, they're not informed at all. We had Mike Kelly, who's really smart, and he's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We had, a lot of people on our show who just acted like they didn't really know. I told you I was talking to a doctor like 3 weeks ago, and he was like, I don't know anything about what's going on with coronavirus. And I was like, you're a doctor?
He's like, I'm just not that type of doctor. I just don't really care. It's funny. We still have people asking about this Canon R5. And I was thinking about the Canon R5. I mean, I need to read a little bit more about it. I saw some headline, I think earlier today, that said this is the most exciting camera to be announced in the last decade. And maybe it is. I still believe that most of the features are so overkill that less than 1% of the owners of the camera will even take advantage of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain features that cameras can have that the average photographer or videographer would use, maybe even on a daily basis. More megapixel, more dynamic range, better autofocus, better continuous autofocus while filming, unlimited record rate, interesting Wi-Fi features or cloud storage, all these new features that we've been talking about for a while that some cameras have but they all don't. But this idea that everybody's excited to shoot in 422 10-bit 8K, I think you are going to test it once and then never use it again. Like I said, we own 8 GH5s. We have never shot in 10-bit because it like bogs down our computer. You can't even like open the files without going through Premiere, and then it's really slow, and then you're gonna chop it down into 8-bit anyway when you export it. So it's like, what are you people doing on a daily basis that requires 8K 422? I just don't think anyone's going to be using
shoot
that.
Everything in 4K. I don't know that it's actually able to upload fast enough to broadcast in 4K. But even when we upload to 4K, we have 4K monitors. I very rarely ever watch our videos full screen. Our iPhones and iPads and everything, they can't even display 4K, right?
I don't think so. No.
So even though they're shot in 4K, there's some editing advantages that you have.
Yeah. No, I love 4K. I'm all about 4K. Like, I'm about...
But 8K? Like, what in the world would...
There's just a level to where it gets ridiculous. And megapixels will get to that point, too. Like, if you have a camera that's 200 megapixels, but you're shooting on the exact same lenses, it's pointless at a certain level. You're not getting any more resolution because the lenses can't handle it. And I'm not saying it's going to be like that with video, but I'm just saying if you can't play it back at 8K, I don't know. I'm excited about the camera. I'm probably going to buy one. But you know what's going to make me not buy one? And I was just thinking about this. This is the deal breaker. If it doesn't have unlimited record time. If it limits the shoot time to 30 minutes, then we can't use it because right now we've probably been shooting for over an hour.
Yeah, we would have had to have gotten up at least twice to stop the backup recording and restart it.
Yeah, and if people were like, just get an external recorder, like, no. I've got an external recorder. Like, I love the GH5 because it's simple, it's small, it's built in, it just does everything I need.
Could you imagine external recorder that needs to go? I mean, I don't think we'd be doing these broadcasts in 8K. Somebody would be.
Yeah.
And if you had to, the hard drive on that is going to be
that's a good point.
Of dollars per hard drive.
I would love for somebody to do the math in the comments. Let us know at 8K 422 how much data that is for an hour of recording. I bet there's no SSD on the planet that could do that. I bet that technology doesn't even exist.
Somebody says, why not just focus on photography? Please really explain this. I don't understand the pivot. Why are we doing this?
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of the video.
Questions.
Yeah,
we are under one of the strictest quarantines in the United States. We're here in Puerto Rico. We literally cannot leave our house right now. Curfew is hit. We can't leave the house. We can't interact with people. We can only leave technically without being fined or potentially arrested for food and pharmacy visits. So we can't go out and do photo shoots. We can't even go out and just do a landscape by ourselves.
Yeah, we're not allowed to go outside.
That being said, you went out today and kiteboarded.
Wait, what? No, who said that?
This would be in part that you would edit out. You went out and kiteboarded today, but at any point you could have been pulled over by any authority and fined or taken to jail. Like, that's how locked down we are. And so I want to do more photography stuff.
Yeah.
If you like photography,
and
go watch my guitar video that I just released and like it and thumbs up.
Yeah, how many views does that have now?
7,000.
Whoa, bro!
We're almost at 1,000 viewers here right now.
Yeah.
I want to get back to photography. We definitely are going to do some of that. Now that we can do the live broadcast and not spend hours every day editing, I think it's going to open up to where we both can do more photography.
Let me tell you about what we have in store for you guys. So Blackmagic makes this little like switcher thing, streamer, and you can basically plug in, I don't know how many devices, like 4 to 6 HDMI devices. You could have cameras, you could have laptops, and then on the laptops you could have like videos lined up to show. You could have pictures lined up to go. So we can start doing live critique the communities. We can start doing like I want to do this photography show called like the F-Stoppers shot show or something, and have the O be the at symbol so it could look like the SHIT show,
Should be a $. Hashtag.
Okay. And the whole idea is that we just like this, we come up with some bullet points of what we want to talk about. We go quick, we go fast.
You told me it would be like, pardon the interruption. So if you watch ESPN, it would be something very curated and quick.
Yeah.
But you and I could just argue about like little news stories that
happen. But then with the super chats coming in, like the show's got to stop. We have to reference the super chat and then get right back to whatever we were talking about with the critiques. I thought it could be hilarious. Like, if people do a super chat for a certain amount of money, they then become the next critiqued photo. Mm-hmm. So they say, like, hey, here's $10, here's a link to my photo. What do you guys think of this? And, like, we have to stop what we're doing and then critique that photo live. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. The problem is that this device is sold out everywhere on every platform. I've reached out to Blackmagic. They have a new one coming out, and they said they were going to send me one of those.
Does it do 8K?
It does 6K.
I don't want it then.
But they said they're going to send me that, but they don't know when they're going to become available. So I'm like, well, send me the one you currently have because we got to get this show up and running. Even with this, I want to be able to show you guys these videos.
We have all the time in the world right now to be doing this.
Yeah, I know. So they're like, we don't know. We don't even know if we have the old ones. So I went on eBay tonight, and I put a bid in on one that's over now for $600. This product only costs $300. So I put in double the retail price for this used product.
Don't tell them that. They're now going to go jack this price up.
Well, it's all right. Like this ended already.
Okay.
If I lost this and it went over $600, there's someone else selling a new one for $600. Buy it now. So I'm going to just buy that one. Don't steal it from me. But we're going to try to put this show together and get back to photography.
Somebody asked, why don't you just do an architectural video where you do a shoot and then have Mike Kelly critique it? We get asked this stuff all the time. Like, the only thing we can shoot is this house. We can't leave the house.
Yeah.
And as cool as this house is, it's not one
that cool.
It's not one I would want to photograph.
No.
And so then it's like, well, it's like saying, why don't you photograph this bottle?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm not going to spend. I guess I could teach you some techniques on how to do that, but like, we still want to do good photography.
Yeah.
So it's this thing. Like, you and I could take portraits of each other, but nobody wants to see that. You want to see a really interesting guy or a really attractive girl and some kind of theme. So we're hoping to get back to that, but hopefully we can do that once this quarantine gets lifted.
Yeah.
And we have a reasonable sense of safety. But at the moment, we can't do a whole lot there.
All right. Henry McCants, he's talking a little trash. He says, Lee, how is your shorting the market going? Well, Henry, let me let you know. I have one short position technically with Tesla, and that is not going well. I think my short was at $650 and Tesla is up over $700 currently, so I'm losing money on that. I have two SPY put positions that might be for like a total of $5,000 or $6,000. Those are almost worthless.
You kept those? You didn't sell those?
No. I have one that ends maybe tomorrow. I think that's like 99.8% loss. And then I have another one that might end in July that's like 50% loss.
I'm sorry, I lost you. These are your puts.
These are my
It's not
puts.
your inverse.
Yes. Yeah, my puts.
Okay.
Then I have a 3 times negative SPY inverse position. I think I put $30,000 into that. I've lost half. So I've lost $15,000 on that. So all of this is bad, but I have a huge position in gold and gold stocks, which has made more than all that I've lost in my negative position. So I'm actually up overall. But yeah, in hindsight, I wish that I had not done that. Or
should have bought that Moderna. It's up 6% today.
I mean, 6% is nothing. Like at this point, with the market going crazy,
it's up
like
122% in 3 months.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I should have gone in on.
You should have gotten in on that back in the day.
Dan G asks, guys, did Carol Baskins feed her husband to a tiger? I don't know. It's so weird to watch a documentary that's as hilarious as that, and I think it's hilarious to like joke that she fed her husband to a tiger, and I love all the memes and everything, but you have to remember that that's a real person who thought she was doing a legitimate documentary to save the tigers.
Well, I think there's talks of a second documentary coming out.
Yeah.
And it might focus just on that. Which makes me wonder how much more information is there about the disappearance of this guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's too many things. I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but you wouldn't disappear and leave all your money behind. That's the most illogical thing. Like, who's the guy that McAfee? And you guys watched that documentary?
Yeah, John McAfee.
That guy's crazy.
Yeah,
but
he's
he
like a
disappears,
murderer.
But he takes the money with him and he starts his own little cult thing.
Yeah.
You don't just like give up millions of dollars and be like, I'm breaking into the system. Breaking the system,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's definitely something that she did because she just doesn't seem worried about it. And the fact that the will said in case of my disappearance, that seems a little too good to be true. But I don't know. I don't want to call somebody a murderer for sure. I don't know what the heck's going on. Tristan Bernardo says, your business and lifestyle inspires me to do the same. Well, thank you very much, Tristan. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would have started a website like F-Stoppers. And then to go one step further and say I'd be in Puerto Rico, locked under quarantine due to a world pandemic, talking to you live through the power of the internet. I could never have dreamed this is where my life would take me.
Shane Henry says, do we know of Dr. Kaufman? People always say this. Do you know of this? And have you seen the video? We have so much media thrown at us. I want you to like put a link in the comments with a timestamp and say, what do you think of this statement? Because maybe he's making really logical statements or he's like totally out there. But I don't have time to go look this up. I probably won't even see this comment again. Do you know when people leave comments in the live feed, that's separate from comments when the video goes live? So right now there's 0 comments on the video that will be published because it's not published.
Right.
What happens to this feed?
It exists only on the desktop. I don't think you can see it on mobile or on an iPad.
So if there's something you really want us to look at when this video renders and goes live, go back to the comments of this video and put a link, and I will try to check it out.
Yeah, feel free to put hyperlinks. We try to go and read the comments. I can't read this guy's name. I'm sorry, buddy. And it says, when is Patrick going to shave his head?
I've been joking that I have never shaved my head, ever. And I was like, what if I just did like a mohawk, and one day I have the mohawk?
I mean, you've got that
I
crazy
know. It would look
curl
so
right there.
good.
Yeah. What
But,
if you just do it? Like, what do you care? Here's the scary thing about shaving your head when you're balding is that, and I didn't realize this, but when I shaved my head a few years ago, you know, I knew I was going a little thin, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
Once it's gone.
I shaved my head, and then all of this hair started growing like 10 times faster than this hair. And that's when I really realized that I was in trouble. You're not going to have any issue at all.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know if I have the cojones to do it.
What's the big deal?
It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. But
No, just shave your
Kristen
head.
would be so pissed.
Really? Like, you could have...
She doesn't want me to do it.
She loves your hair? That, like...
Yeah,
guys,
people love this. When you have hair, man, you got hair.
I mean, I agree. You should be flaunting it. I
try to flaunt it all the time.
I squandered my time with hair. But
I always think I'm sabotaged because there's many videos we do right here where I'll have the hair like this, and I'm like, Lee, why didn't you tell me that this is there? And I just think you're sabotaging.
I think you should set a super chat price that if someone pays right now, you will shave your head into a mohawk tomorrow, and I think that price should be like $7.
$7? No, I was thinking like $350. If you
$350 to cut your hair?
Yeah.
You're a guy. What does it matter? Just shave it off. It's gonna grow back in like a month. It's gonna look like a rat's nest again. Who cares?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I want to be bald sitting here next.
What about $100? Somebody gave it.
I'm not gonna do it for $100.
Come on, man. All right, let's move on. Hey, Bill, how about a quarantine video contest? I still don't get this Bill Maher joke, but this guy, he keeps paying to call me Bill Maher. So I will keep reading your comments as long as you give me money. I don't understand.
Again, Bob Nike, we are not giving accurate information on politics and medicine. We are just regurgitating stuff that we've heard throughout the day.
I know, we don't know anything.
Yeah, this is just our personal opinions.
Just to answer this guy who likes calling me Bill Maher, how about a quarantine video contest? I don't really understand what you are asking. You need to be a little bit more descriptive, and I will let you know if it's a good or horrible idea. Okay, somebody's written this a few times. Tell us the story you left for another time, and they ask, was it about your Ritz camera days? I do remember yesterday.
Somebody just said the first case of coronavirus was in Everett, Seattle.
Oh!
And I was like, do you know where Everett, Seattle is?
Yeah. Fair warning, guys. This has absolutely nothing to do with photography or coronavirus, so you can just leave now if you're going to be upset about this. But this is crazy. And you know what's funny? When we tell this story, I bet people are going to be able to
The guy in Everett's going to know. The person who said the first case was here in Everett, he's going to know this guy for certain.
But I'm saying the people watching this right now are going to be able to look up.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now. So.
Okay, so I'll start telling the story. So, we're in Seattle, Washington for something, I don't remember what. And Patrick has, since I've been friends with him, has told me about the time he used to live in Alaska and he would go fishing for salmon. And and how amazing it was, and you just throw the line in and you just pull up these salmon and they taste so good, better than any salmon you've ever had before. And
salmon fishing is so fun. It's so fun.
Well, we'll tell them what it was like. So we go to Seattle, and he's like, we got to go salmon fishing. I think we're high enough up that the salmon will still be here, whatever. So I don't know if we go on Yelp or what, but Patrick gets this like private. You found the guy?
It's like the first one, but
Okay, so Patrick finds this private boat captain. That's like a fisherman charter thing. Did you find him on Yelp? Are you
maybe. I mean, the way his business is named, it's very easy to find him if you're looking for charters in Seattle.
Okay, so I do not like fishing. I just feel like you wake up early, and then especially the fishing on these big boats, you're not even fishing. You just put a fishing pole in the boat and then drive around, and you hook stuff and reel it in. It's like the boat is doing all of the work. So it seems dumb to me to do it anyway, but I was like, Patrick, you're excited about this, let's do it. So what time do we wake up? Do we get up like 3 or 4 a.m.?
I think we had to get up at like 3 in the morning, drive from Seattle up to Everett, which isn't that far. Maybe it's like 45 minutes. We get everything together, and Lee is a Debbie Downer. You're like pissed off. You're not wanting to be up. It's still nighttime. We're there at like 4:30 in the morning. We walk down the ramp. You're going to a marina, and you have no idea like what slip the guy's in, like where are we headed. So, we have some snacks and stuff, and it's cold, so like we're kind of bundled up. Seattle's always like fairly cold, although it was summer. And, it's chilly, I should say.
Do any of these facts matter for
No,
this
but
story?
this is
You're
how you
setting the mood?
Yeah. We'll continue on then.
Okay. Well, I don't even remember what happens at first, but basically we meet up with this guy, and his name is Captain Craig. And that's probably all the information you need to find this guy online. And Captain Craig...
He tells us that you were the only people on this charter.
Oh, maybe we expected more to be on the boat.
Yeah, and it was like, it's just you boys today. So I'm thinking, man...
But he says it in a way that he is pissed. Like, basically, like, it's not even worth my time doing this because I'm not charging you enough.
It's almost like we woke him up.
Yeah.
At 4 in the morning.
Yeah, like, I can't believe I've woken up for this. Like, I'm going to lose money on you guys. Like, that is his attitude, right? You can continue selling the story from here because I don't remember what happens next. I remember...
How vulgar can we get on the show? I mean, should we just let it rip?
I don't know. How vulgar can we get? I don't know if we get like...
So we get on the boat, and Captain Craig, I mean, he looks
let's
like...
Let's try to limit it a little bit.
He's like Mr. Salty, right? He's got the beard, and it looks like he just woke up, and it becomes very clear he lives on the boat.
Yeah.
He's like homeless except for this boat. And so, we untie, and, Lee and I, we know enough about boats to like kind of help. Like, we're good dock hands, but he doesn't want any of that. He's got to do it all himself. So we start going out into the, how do you say it, Puget Sound?
Puget Sound? I don't know.
And so we're out there, and like everything's just so negative.
Well, he is being a dick to us. Like the hardest level of dickishness you can imagine. I mean, you'll ask a question and he'll just be like, yeah, you wouldn't know, would you? But he's such a douche that I'm like, is he joking? Like, is he doing it in like a really harsh but somewhat funny way?
Yeah.
And I'm just playing this like, I'm playing it super cool. Like, I'm not giving it back to him. I just act...
You didn't want to be fishing anyway, so you're
Yeah, I don't even
hey,
wanna be
I'll do whatever you need me to do, but
Yeah.
like I'm not super enthusiastic either.
Yeah.
And the problem with this fishing tour is that we're close enough to shore that you have internet. So Lee is sitting there in the cabin like playing on the internet on his phone, where normal deep sea fishing you'd be like so far away you can't see land, but here you can see land.
Yeah.
So we start fishing, and we got the lines out and everything, and the outriggers, everything's like up and running. And he's there on the CB trying to find like where to go, and he's talking to all the other boats.
Yeah.
But he's talking to them kind of like a dick too. And so we're just like, maybe this is how he is.
Yeah,
And
but he might have
suddenly-
even been saying like bad stuff about us on the radio. Like, it was just everything he said was derogatory towards us, his only paying customers.
Yeah, we paid this guy. It was like $500 each, $400
It was
each.
very expensive.
It was
yeah.
like we paid $800 to $1,000
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
trip. So all of a sudden, boom, outrigger trips. There's a fish on,
Yeah.
and I don't know that we knew what to do because he never explained it. He never told us the
He
protocol.
never helped us with anything.
He didn't say this is what happens when this happens.
No.
And, like, you should get it and pull it in. And
Yeah, or like, help me with this, guys. No, he just did everything, and we stood around him, and he belittled us for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then I finally just went inside the cabin and played on my phone.
So one of the lines gets tripped. I know the story is sounding really long.
Yep. It's getting better.
One of the lines trips, and so he looks back there, and he starts just cursing at us.
Well, hold on. It's not that. The line gets tripped. Like, we know we have a fish on, and I'm like, hey, we have a fish. I say that.
Yeah.
And he's like, why the F wouldn't you grab the line? And I'm like...
Meanwhile, he's like
what?
Storming by and stuff's flying. It's like, Tasmanian devils running to the back.
Yeah, and I'm like, because you didn't tell me to do anything. Like, why are you yelling at me like I'm some idiot? What do you... Like, the second I saw we had a fish on, I warned you, and you're screaming at me and cursing at me? Like, this is ridiculous. So, he gets this... Like, we catch this little, like, shark fish thing. And he gets so pissed because he's like, these sharks are ruining the sound, and like, I hate these things. And so he unhooks it, and then he starts like cutting the fin off the shark and throwing it back in, and he's like, F you, feed your friends, mother effer. And I'm like, dude, why are you like torturing these fish and shark and stuff? It's weird. But he screamed at me, so I think like, okay, the next time we get a fish, I'm just going to grab the line.
Yeah.
Did somebody say something good?
I'm just reading the Yelp reviews, and somebody's like, he crashed the boat twice.
Okay, well, hold on. We're about to get into this. So the next time we catch a fish, I grab the line and start reeling. And, of course, he's inside the boat, like driving the boat, and I'm reeling it in. He storms out, what the F are you doing? Why didn't you call my name? Why would you reel it like that? And I'm like, what is your problem, dude? Like, you yelled at me last time because I called your name, and now I'm trying to do this because this is what you told me to do last time. What is your problem, man? And then he takes it from me and he reels it in himself, and it's the same type of shark, and he tortures the shark and throws it back in the water. And I'm like, man, screw this guy. Like, I don't like this guy anyway.
And
I hate fishing.
He's just slitting the bellies of these fish, and he's like, go feed your friends, motherfucker. And he's throwing these fish back in, like he's cutting off their tails and throwing them back in. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this guy's demented. Like,
so at this point, I'm like, I don't even want to be here. Like, I'm gonna have nothing to do. I'm just gonna sleep inside the boat and play on my phone for the rest of this trip.
So while all this is happening, I'm thinking, all right, this has gone terribly bad. Let's butter this guy up and let's warm him up and let's figure out who Captain Craig is. So I start asking the personal questions like, man, how long have you been doing this? And it's like 40 fucking years. And you're like, oh, okay, it sounds like you don't like it. And I'm like, so, have you been married? Like, you have kids? And he's like, let me tell you about my ex. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a good story. And I don't even know how to tell the story without getting too gruesome. But he's like, I found that bee. One night she came back home with me. I feel like I should be telling this with you sitting here.
I can hear you.
And he's like, I found that whore, and I got her naked, and I went down on her, and I smelled herself, and I smelled another man. And that moment, I kicked her out of my house, and and he's just telling me all this crazy stuff about like how his wife was cheating on him, and like in the most gruesome, vulgar possible way. And I'm sitting there like, it's like 5 a.m. I'm still hardly awake. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy.
So then, after that, I don't know if it was you or me, but I'm worried at this point. Like, oh my gosh, like this guy could kill me or something. Huh? That's my last one, my last course.
It seems like something like a serial killer would do.
Yeah.
Like he has some emotional problem with
So
him.
one of us is like looking around the photos on his boat, and we see a young girl with Captain Craig in the photo. Yeah. So one of us is like, oh, is that your daughter? And he's like, yeah, that bitch is dead to me, or something just outrageous. And we're like, what? What about your daughter? And he's like, oh, she's a little princess, is good for nothing, and blah, blah, blah. He starts going to town on talking about how horrible his daughter is.
Also in the most vulgar, offensive way. the most detailed things, like, and you're just sitting there like, this is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know that I've met some vulgar people in my life.
Yeah.
But, like, this is a whole other level. And you're thinking, we're just trapped on this boat out at sea with this guy.
Yeah.
And
so basically, at that point, we're just terrified of this guy. I probably go to sleep in the boat. Captain Craig continues to catch. It's like, I don't know, how many of these sharks does he catch? It's like
a dozen or so. Like, we were catching them.
He gets more and more angry. He is literally, like, we've paid him $800 just to go fishing.
I thought he was about to have a stroke. He's just so uptight, you know?
Yeah. So we go back, and we're driving back, and I'm like, hey, man, like, I'm not tipping this guy. And you were like, yeah, that's fine. I'm not tipping him either. Like, he has been such an asshole. Did you even do any of the fishing at the end, or were you just sitting inside with me?
I think at that point, like, I was checking the internet,
I was,
too,
like,
and
asleep.
I'm like,
so we just get off the boat, and we're like, okay, see ya. Like, we weren't even like, thanks or anything.
We didn't catch a single salmon.
No.
Like,
just these sharks that he tortured.
And then the whole time, I imagine what it's like being a boat captain when you're not catching anything. You're trying to, like, make your customers feel better. And, like, I don't even say to be fair, but to be fair, he did drive around to multiple spots. It got to the point where it's like noon now. I think this fishing trip was supposed to be 4 hours. We've been out on the water for like 6 or 7 hours. You are over it. I'm over it. But because we've caught nothing, it's like he keeps trying to find something. Well, I guess to make us feel better.
And I told you, we are both such bad fishermen that if he had just acted excited and been like, oh my God, these sharks are so rare and they're hard to catch. Great job, guys. We would have been like, yeah, gee,
sorry we weren't catching the salmon, but at least we're catching the little sharks.
Yeah, I would have totally been confused. I would have been like, yeah, this is exciting. You know, he didn't have to act like they were so bad. Before we end the finale, I'm afraid we're going to lose some of these super chats here. Let me just read this one. This guy, Anonymous, says, hey, Lee and Patrick, you guys should do a critique the community with the theme cosplay. You'd hate it, no doubt, but that would make it entertaining. I agree. I think we should do something with costumes and cosplay.
You know I hate cosplay.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. All right, so back to the story. We just get off the boat.
We just leave.
We just leave. Like, we don't even say anything to this dude. Later that night, we meet up with an old friend of mine from high school, college. We have dinner with him. And
Back in Seattle.
In Seattle.
45 minutes away.
Yeah. And I'm telling this story about, like, this crazy guy. And we only tell a moment of this story. And the guy goes, Captain Craig? And I'm like, no freaking way, dude. What are you talking about? How do you know Captain Craig? And he's like, my dad almost got in a fist fight with Captain Craig last year. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, we hired him because he was like the #1 guy on Google or whatever. And he was such an asshole to us. My dad said he was going to fight him on the boat, like while we were out to sea. And Captain Craig and my dad were going at it. And I'm like, how does this guy have a business?
Yeah.
And so then we found the Yelp.
Right.
Like, if you have the Yelp link, you should share the Yelp link on the live chat right now. People can read some of the reviews.
Yeah, let me try to figure out how to do that. You know me.
I mean, it almost seems like Captain Craig is like a comedy sitcom character or something, but he's real. He's the worst boat captain in the world.
Well, I have it right here, so anyone still in this chat, you're about to...
That one Jeff says, once these crazy times are over, I hope you continue with these videos. Also make a podcast. I watch these every day for the same reason. I'm a fan of Joe Rogan, just friends discussing random topics. Well, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. I think we should make these podcasts. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but it should be relatively easy. We're recording this separately from YouTube, so we got to look into that.
Somebody wants us to recreate Atlas in the Sun in Puerto Rico because we know so much. Oh, we love it so much. Sorry, I
love it so much. So did you post the Captain? Oh yeah, you did post it in here.
There's not as many Yelp reviews as I remember. Maybe I was finding other review sites. Maybe like Google has them too. But it's really strange. It's like either 5 stars and oh my gosh, we were pulling in fish left and right and it was like the greatest time of my mom's life and we loved it. Or it's like 1 or 2 stars where it's like he crashed the boat twice and you know he cursed at us and made us feel super uncomfortable. And it was the worst time of my life on the waters. You know, I will never go deep sea fishing ever again.
Well, you know what's so funny is we we had thought, I mean, how long ago was this, first of all?
10 years ago.
Was it that
8
long
years
ago? It was a long time ago. But we remember saying, like, we should leave a review, but we were afraid of Captain Craig, and we were like, we can't leave a review within the next couple of years. He'll remember us.
There's a review here from 2018. So somebody's been fishing in the last 2 years. But I'm shocked this guy's even alive. Like, I think he might have been like 50, but he looked 80. It's like the seas were not good on him. Like
yeah. Somebody's got a good question here. How can I convince my friend to live with me like you guys seem to be? How did that go down, Patrick?
I don't know. I always tell people it's a horrible idea to go in business with their friends.
Yeah, I know.
Don't ever start we know so many photographers started a business with a friend and then it turned ugly. So I would not recommend that. I don't know how we've worked out so well.
I think it's working particularly well here because this house is so big and so compartmentalized.
Yeah.
It's really like we are living in this similar apartment complex. I mean, you can play guitar on your floor and I cannot hear it anywhere. And like, I'm right below you here in this office. I cannot hear you. In our bedroom, we cannot hear you. You have your own living room. We have our own living room. So the only times that we have to see each other maybe are meals.
Kitchen, yeah.
But even then, if we didn't want to see each other, we could probably one of us just do it a little earlier than the other. And
we also see eye to eye for the most part on many things. Like obviously like politically or certain things we talk about on the show we obviously don't agree with all the time. But for the most part, we're pretty reasonable people.
Captain Craig is probably watching right now, bashing his monitor.
He's like, damn it.
F-stoppers! I'll get you. Guys, if you have any other questions, hurry up and ask them. We are about to end this.
Yeah, I'm about to get out of here because I got to cook some tacos and then I got to do a Zoom chat with some friends. So,
yeah, are we playing the game with everyone tonight?
I don't know what the game is. I don't know how to play it. I don't know how to run it.
I can show you.
You've come up with these complicated systems where Lee has been playing games like on the phone, but then using Zoom to like communicate and.
Yeah. MTV F-Stoppers Edition. That's not how you spell. That's not the right edition. We've already done it. Google it. Or go on YouTube and type in like F-Stoppers Puerto Rico, and it'll come up. We've shown you not the whole house, but a lot of the house. So are these two gay? No, we're not gay. I'm married. Patrick is engaged. And it's working out so far. Captain Craig decided to call me in response to the review that he thought I had left for him. He stated that I was destroying his business and that unfortunately not everyone can be happy. This is a comment from Yelp somebody's posting here.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, oh my gosh, we know somebody here. I will go as far, it's expensive and it's burning money away unless you catch salmon, but I almost would say you should book a charter with Captain Craig so that you too can have your own glorious story to share with everybody.
What's it like growing up in the South? Is it as conservative as the movies portray? You know, I don't know. First of all,
no, it's not as conservative.
Probably
as
not as the movies portray.
Like when you see Charleston, it's always Charleston and everything's all fine and dandy and we're going to go to the horse race. Nothing's like that. You watch Southern Charm and I'm like, I know a lot of those people, they play it up. Like there are things where you can go to the horse races and you wear all the crazy get up. But like for the most part, it's just like a drinking town and everyone's acting just like you would act in New York City, for the most part. Politically, it's a little different maybe, but it's not. Yeah. Like we've had friends move to Charleston and they were like, can I hold hands with someone of the same sex? And can I date somebody outside of my race? And I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't get it. I feel like people look into stuff too much. I've had some friends that moved to, I think they were in San Francisco, and they seem like pretty liberal people, but they left San Francisco because they said the people there, their neighbors, were so liberal that they were so closed-minded that they could not have normal conversations with people. They were like, the people were like robots in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I considered them to be like liberal Democrats, but they were like, the people in San Francisco were so weird that we just had to leave. So hopefully North Carolina, South Carolina, people are just like more down to earth. In Florida, I've spent a lot of time in Florida.
Florida's not the South.
Yeah, I don't even
honest
consider Florida to be the South. Florida is like its own thing, overrun with Florida man, wrestling alligators and like doing crazy crimes and stuff. So
Kristen always says a quote. She's like, the more north you go, the more south you get in Florida. And it's true. When you get up to like the Panhandle, which is kind of where I grew up as a teenager, it definitely feels more southern. Whereas you get down to like Orlando and especially Miami, and it's its own culture altogether.
I love this comment. Captain Craig's ex was Carol Baskin. That would make so much sense. He left with just a little bit of money, and he bought the boat, and he's just furious because he hates Carol so much. And he's trying to live this life as a boat captain, but he never wanted to do it. But he can't like have a relationship with Carol or his daughter because he never wants to see Carol again. That's so true. Now, Ivan says Captain Craig is on Facebook. This is where things get dangerous. Now we're gonna have like thousands of people going and like talking trash to Captain Craig.
And then he's gonna watch this, and Captain Craig's gonna be like, "I remember them," and like, the video's gonna get pulled, and there's gonna be a defamation lawsuit.
Oh gosh.
And it's like,
it sounds like our lawsuit might get dropped soon.
well, I don't know if you should talk about
I don't know that we should
yet.
talk about it either, but the lawsuit that we brought up in the live stream before that we deleted.
Did somebody ask about that, or you just brought that up?
No, you just mentioned lawsuit, and I'm
Oh.
like, it's so ridiculous. I think at the very least we should do a video or like talk about the lawsuit and just not mention names.
Yeah.
Of just how insane the lawsuit is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if they want to take us to court, then we will reveal
Would it
the
be
name,
the full
but
story or our story? Because it's a crazy story.
I'm trying to think of what the full story
Well,
is.
the full
like,
story is we just know a lot more than what.
Oh, no, we probably shouldn't reveal that. But,
All right, I have got to get cooking, and I am starving. Do you want to just wrap this up, or are you going to hang out here and read comments for another?
No, I can't. Let's do one more question. Find one more question. Let's
Oh
get
my
out of
gosh! Captain Craig died February 27th, 2020. He died a few months ago.
here. What if he died of the Rona?
68. I told you he wasn't that old. Like when we saw him, he would have been 58, but he looked like he was 80. So Captain Craig, I'm sorry I shared your
We
stories.
just talk bad about the dead, man.
Dude, we might be in trouble.
That's bad karma.
He's gonna come to this marina.
He's gonna haunt us in Puerto Rico. Oh, Captain Craig. Netflix series on F-Stoppers versus Captain Craig.
There's a photo you can find if you look hard enough of Captain Craig, and he's on the cover of like a fishing magazine holding this fish up, and he looks so full of life. And I'm like, that is his glory days before he caught his wife.
That was before he married Carol Baskins.
Yeah.
He was really happy
And he
back
looks
then.
really happy in this picture.
See
He's
if you
holding-
guys can find the picture of Captain Craig as a young man on the cover of a magazine.
All right, I got to get out of here. I got to go to the restroom, and I got to cook, and we got a
All right.
meeting. And
I got to finish this beer, so you go ahead.
All right, well, guys.
What are you making tonight? Tacos?
Oh, I'm doing some homemade like street tacos: pork, cilantro, onions, cheese.
Don't cut that off because it's going to make a lot of noise. Cut it off from there.
Well, how about I just leave this?
Or leave it on.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing some tacos tonight.
I wonder if I
And
can
I'm
make
gonna
some.
make some strong margaritas. If that guy is watching who gave us the margarita mix, I think Kristen wants a strawberry margarita, so I gotta come up with that. But I'm gonna make a good batch of that margarita that has the egg white in it.
All right. Well, maybe I'm going to make some tacos.
All right, guys.
with you
I'll
tonight.
see y'all soon.
I see everybody writing Patrick and Lee beard contest. We commented on this yesterday. I don't think we're interested. We really hate beards when they get really long. They're super annoying. Any more good questions? Wait, are you getting sued or are you suing? We are getting sued. We are not doing the suing. What is the day in the life of F-Stopper's crib like? You guys up late, waking up early, playing board games? Today, last night, my wife and I went to bed early with the intention of waking up very early because the wind looked good. And she comes to the beach with me and helps me launch my kite and everything. And she likes sitting on the beach. And due to the lockdowns and everything, kiteboarding is currently illegal. So I have to like sneak to this secret beach that people can't see me kiteboard at. And she comes with me, but both of us slept really bad. So we ended up getting out of bed at like 10 a.m. But we ended up biking out to the secret beach, kiteboarding for a while, coming back. I then went out today. It's weird, like you can go out and get food, but for any other reason you're not allowed to. So I go out and get fast food just to like have something to do. So we have this restaurant called Taco Maker here, which is kind of like a Puerto Rican Taco Bell. So I went and ate that. And then I came down here. I took a nap on this couch. It's a hard day. And then for like an hour or two, I just messed with audio and stuff with this live thing. And then we went live. And now I've got to have dinner. And then I've got this other video that I have to edit. David's going to kill me. But we found this footage from Alaska when we were there. I don't know how long ago we were there, a year ago or something. And we filmed this little quick tutorial and we never released it. So I have to edit that and then do some post-processing thing here. And I haven't finished that yet because I've been really busy, as you can tell. So that's been a day in the life for me. Patrick stays up till like 2 or 3 a.m. and then wakes up really late. So I don't know what Patrick's doing. Like I said, he has his own floor with his own living room, so they do their own things. Please get the spouses on the show. My wife is interested in their opinions. So that's an interesting comment as well. My wife, Katie, has been on one critique. I don't think it went that well, but everybody seemed to really like her. And everybody was nice. Like, everybody's mean to me on YouTube, but everybody's nice to her, which I appreciate. She said she would do it, but she's very nervous that she's so out of touch with what's going on in the world. I mean, Katie's life has not changed at all since the quarantine. She literally just she just does the exact same thing she normally does. She doesn't watch any news at all, and she doesn't want to talk about news with me. So any news that she picks up, it's because Patrick and I are usually debating about something in the kitchen. So she's nervous about getting on camera and then like seeming dumb or ignorant and not knowing what's going on. Patrick's fiance, Kristen, has said many times that she does not want to come on camera. I don't know what her reason is, if it's because she's not that educated on the news or whatever, or she just doesn't know how she'll look on camera, but she keeps saying that she doesn't want to do it. So Katie might be able to convince her eventually. I think it would be fun, at least for a few minutes if they came on, but so far it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Leah's going to be kite surfing and see a ghost boat roll up on a private beach. Captain Craig's ghost boat. Who the hell is Captain Craig? You got to go back and watch the video, man. You're too late to the video. Lee, I sent you a video and an email. Oh yeah, let me tell you guys, if you have, well, now that we're doing it live, maybe we can't do it. Soon, once I get this like switcher thing, we're gonna move out of here and I'm gonna make a table that we sit at or stand at, and we're gonna be able to do everything again. So we're gonna be able to show videos, we're gonna be able to show websites, we're gonna be able to show pictures. If people have fan questions, we're gonna be able to show fan questions, but we're not quite there yet, so don't send me fan questions right now. But whoever said they sent me something, I will check that out. Taco Bell sounds good. I haven't eaten fast food in 4 months. Man, that's incredibly adult of you. I feel like because I'm stuck inside, I want the fast food and the Nutter Butters and the ice cream just because I feel crappy. So I just feel like I deserve all the junk food. Lee, if you were going to interview Trump or have him on the show, what would you ask him? Man, that's a really good question. It's stumping me right now. I don't know. I would try my best to get Trump to lower his guard. Trump currently is incapable of ever apologizing or admitting that he was wrong about something. I would probably ask him about the games that he plays with the media, and I would try to be like, Trump, listen, man, I'm a fan of yours, but like we all make mistakes, right? Why, and I try to butter him up, and then I would try to get him to just admit the times that he has made mistakes, and get him to kind of speak honestly about his view of the media. I think that might be my goal. F-Stoppers, do you have a space there for an extra photographer and English teacher from Poland? In the house, we do actually have extra space, but not for strange people that we meet on the internet. Leah's a lightweight. That beer hits him hard. That's true. I'm probably one of the biggest lightweights I know. Oh, Patrick says Katie is listening. Katie must be in the kitchen listening to me right now. Katie, if you're listening, you can ask me a question, and I will respond to you. That beer is his fuel. That's true, but it's almost empty. Once this is empty, I'm out of here. Pedro says, bring your kite whenever you come visit Peru. You can do kite at very high altitude in Peruvian Andes. It's quite an experience. I've never done like snow kiting, or I don't know what it's called when you have like the skateboard attached to your feet. I've never done that. I've only ever done it on water. So it sounds interesting. Do I have plans to visit Bali? Yes, I actually do have plans to visit Bali. Not specifically, but I will visit Bali very, very soon. I hear it's awesome down there. Are you guys less stressed that you don't have to edit anymore since going live? You have no idea. This has gone from being like work to being something that I look forward to, and it's hilarious. And the fact that you guys can write hilarious comments and we can respond to them makes it so much fun. And then when I'm done, it's done, and I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to wait for exports, and I don't have to worry about these copyright strikes. I mean, it is infinitely better. Are you going to make these into a podcast Joe Rogan style? Yes, I think we are. I just need to look into that. So if anybody wants to help me, if anybody currently does a podcast and wants to help me do that, email me at lee@fstoppers.com. Do not email me for other reasons. You guys are jamming up my email. Photography, is that the thing we used to do in Puerto Rico when we clicked a button outdoors or in the studio and took pictures of people or places? Those were the days. I agree with you, Nestor. Those were the days. I cannot believe I am currently trapped inside in Puerto Rico right now. They're strange times we live in. Lee, will you guys ever do a meetup in the future? Yeah, we do meetups. I don't know if you're down here in Puerto Rico. We did a meetup in Puerto Rico a few months ago that was awesome. So many people showed up. We had a great time. Maybe we'll do another Puerto Rican meetup. We usually do meetups when we go to conventions like in New York or WPPI or whatever. Maybe conventions are going to be illegal from now on, but whenever something like that opens back up, yeah, we'll definitely do it. Are you really a fan of Trump? No, I think Trump is really dumb, but I do not hate Trump as much as most people, it seems. I try to praise Trump when he does something good, and I try to, when Trump says that we should inject disinfectant to kill the virus. I have no problem saying that is really stupid. What is your opinion of the future of photography post-COVID situation? We've talked about this a lot. I feel like what Pi said is true. I feel like a lot of photographers are going to not be able to make it through this. They're going to have to get normal jobs because they don't have enough savings or whatever. But I feel like after this, photography is going to come back, maybe bigger than ever. And if you were able to survive, you're going to have a great business. I remember I talked to a buddy of mine who's a photographer who was just really upset. And he was saying that he believed photography as an industry is just over. It's never going to be the same. And I said, what do you mean? I mean, 2008 was really bad. And he was like, well, now that you mention it, the best times of my career were in 2009, 10, 11. I'm like, okay. So even in a recession, there's a need for photographers, especially if you can find the right clienteles and everything. You just have to be willing to work. I just got a super chat here. This says, just a few bucks for Tom Brady. Can answer your stupid questions live. Check this out. How many planets are there in the solar system? I certainly used to know that. I have a number in my mind, but I'm so nervous about saying something stupid that I don't want to say the number that's currently in my mind. But thank you very much for the 20 bucks. I really appreciate it. Lee, how do you stay so fit? I mean, talk about those cheekbones. Thanks, Jay. I'm going to hope Jay is Jennifer and not Jason. I think luckily I carry less fat in my face. It all goes to my man boobs. So my man boobs have been getting a little more plump recently with all my junk food and less working out. So I need to lose some weight. I definitely do need to lose some weight. What are my favorite mutual funds? I would imagine my favorite mutual fund is just the S&P 500. But at the moment, I have almost no money in that, and I have money in gold funds. So let me tell you what I've got money in. I've got money in FSAGX, which is a Fidelity Gold Fund. That actually has a lot of gold miners and stuff. And then I don't have my other one on this ticker, so I don't remember. A something. But it's more just tracks the value of gold. Those have been doing really well for me recently. Don't leave us, Lee. I have to. I just barely have a little bit of beer left, and I have to go have taco night with the fam. What's in the dresser behind us? So the top drawer. I mean, I'll just go look. I'm sweaty. It's hot in here. So the top drawer is just a bunch of microphones. Like we've got Rode microphones here. These are crazy microphones and microphone cables and doodads. We also have the Mr. Marbles gift that was given to me by a fan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the final, what's it called? The final, I don't know if you guys can see this, Ritz Camera Chronicle video. Let's see if there's anything else in other ones of these. In here, I don't know who sent us this. But these are tripod sleeves. It's basically condoms that you put on your tripod legs to keep like the water or grime out of your tripod leg. We got tons of these in here. So I don't know who gave us these, but they will probably stay in here forever and never be used. I've also got like a back massager in here. Nothing in, oh, no, I do have something in here. Here's Microsoft Windows CD. That's it in there. And nothing in the two bottom drawers. I've got like one sip left of beer, and then I'm done. Oh, it looks like we're losing our internet here. I'm getting really slow. How did I meet my wife? I met my wife at like a church camp when we were 15 years old. And we became obsessed with each other, and we had an internet relationship for 6 months. When I finally went to see her, it was a total disaster. And we stopped talking for like 4 or 5 years. And then something like 10 years later, we saw each other again. And we've been together ever since. Let's see. Oh, Patrick says there's Italian food waiting for me upstairs. Final question. Do a contest and give away the tripod condoms. Okay, I will do that. I promise you I will eventually do that. Have I finished Half-Life Alyx yet? Yes, I finished it, and I'm playing through it a second time very slowly right now. One more question. Sony A7R4 or Canon R5? At the moment, I'm leaning towards Canon because I own the A7 III, and I feel like we probably need to own other cameras, being that we're like a review site and stuff. So I'm leaning towards getting the Canon. But I said earlier, if the Canon does not have an unlimited record time, I'm probably not going to buy it. I'm probably just going to borrow it from B&H and return it because I won't use it very much. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm drunk. I'm going to eat Italian food now. Goodbye.